the setting of the situation is in 1949. The heart of the town, he had barely noted this on his arrival, was an island that was connected via a long bridge to the mainland, to the farmland. On the bank, villas, gardens, an affluent area. He also noticed straight away that many of the villas had been requisitioned by French officers and their administrations. Guards stood out in front. And he saw something else too, but couldn't make sense of it. He had read about the devastation of the cities in Germany, deserts of destruction, of firestorms. In this city, he saw not a single house that was destroyed, not even a roof tile appeared to have fallen from roof. He would have to ask Claire when he was back in Vietnam. He found his way easily to UNRWA, the United Nations Relief Organization that was responsible for him. The office was on the first floor of a broad house with an alcove on Zwanzigerstraße, on the side of the island that faced the mainland. A few young men were sitting on chairs in the corridor, or rather they were lounging around in the corridor. Konitzer thought to himself. They were conversing in a soft melodic language and briefly looked up when he sat down beside them, as if they wanted to say, "What's he doing here?" They appeared to be Poles or Ukrainians, forced laborers or people liberated from the concentration and labor camps who were stranded here in this beautiful town. They either had to or wanted to be sent somewhere to survivors who were waiting for them, like Claire had waited for him, or to a completely unknown new life for which they had opted in the absence of another that had been destroyed, just as he had wanted to be sent here, deprived of his former life in Berlin, which had been reduced to rubble. This was what Claire had implied. The door opened, and a young woman with a heavy accent that he couldn't place whispered quite defensively, "Next, please." Two of the men rose. "Just one," the woman said, and raised her right thumb in the air in order to make herself better understood. "French, German, bad," explained one of the uprooted men, and pushed his way into the room too. The woman left the door open. It looked as if she didn't want to be in a closed room with two strangers in need of help. It took quite some time until the two men left the room with a form. The door also stayed open for the next two hopefuls. Then there was a long interval in which the door remained closed for quite some time. In the end, Konitzer found himself sitting with a young man who was missing an upper incisor and drilling his tongue nervously in the gap between his teeth. He said, or rather hissed through the hole in his teeth, that he had just been taken away from his parents. His village has been surrounded. The church-goers had been arrested. All the young, he gestured violently over his shoulder, a contemptuous gesture, all gone to Germany. It had been terribly hard for his parents. Without a son, without help on the farm. And then he fell into a gloomy silence which Konitzer did not want to invade by asking an inappropriate question. When finally it was Konitzer's turn, the woman closed the door behind him. It was like a sign of trust. Konitzer said what he had to say, a litany accompanied by the rustling of documents that he had brought with him. He informed her that he had arrived the day before as a displaced person, that he expected help on his return. His fear that she would reprimand him for not having made his way immediately to the office proved unfounded. He had also feared that as a displaced person, he would be assigned to mess lodgings immediately. Being taken back by an Aryan wife was not accounted for in the forms. Presumably, his case was extremely rare. The woman completed a form which had 3 carbon copies and sent him into the neighboring room where he received ration coupons in exchange for one of the copies. He was instructed to take the remaining copies back to the first office, take a seat in the corridor, and wait for his final consultation. So he found himself sitting in the corridor again, this time with 2 young women who were almost still girls, and who winked at him in a strangely comical way, as if their only possible method of establishing contact was an innocent, or seemingly innocent, in reality artful flirtation of the eyes. It made him feel exposed, and he quickly looked down, which appeared to offend the young woman. Back in the first room, the UNRWA employee wanted to send him away politely and at the same time succinctly, but Conzo remained rooted to the spot. "I'm a lawyer, I'm a judge. I want to work in my profession as soon as possible." "You are a DP," the woman said. "You have lost your German citizenship. As a DP, I am responsible for you, but not for your employment. Go to the district office. There is an employment agency connected to it. You will find a good man there. He was sacked in 1933 and reinstated in 1945, as if nothing had happened. Contact him. They are looking for glaziers, bricklayers, and farmhands. I don't know about judges." And then she said goodbye with a brief, well-meant, but nevertheless business-like nod of the head.